Hi, I'm Pamela. I'm co-founder of the Avatar Center. It is an alternative medicine center located in the jungle of Peru.
What do you do at the Avatar Center?
We work with master plants like ayahuasca, as well as other Amazonian plant medicines to heal. We offer channeling sessions, connection time with trained facilitators who have been working with the medicines for nearly a decade now. And we offer coaching as well as ayahuasca yoga.
How do you help? What do you help people with?
So we help people just like you overcome obstacles in their life where if you're suffering from chronic fatigue, not having any motivation to or inspiration in your life, especially where it comes into business or finances. We also help people who are suffering with health issues, chronic health issues, and not satisfied or have come up into roadblocks where they don't know where to go for answers, as well as people who are really trying to find their path in life and they feel a little lost and perhaps confused about the amount of choices available, but what is best for you?
What's a master plant?
A master plant is a teacher that helps you see beyond the physical world. It's a guide, but also they have other functions where they help clear and clean pathways and heal blockages within ourselves so that they can help you see your own true nature.
I've been suffering from anxiety and depression. What product or plant should I use to eliminate symptoms of anxiety or depression?
So, the best plants that we would recommend for eliminating depression and anxiety, one is the greatest master plant I feel like that is very popular on earth right now is ayahuasca. And even in microdosing can help eliminate those blockages that is perhaps suppressing your life force energy because of certain subconscious programs that are running in your life. And we also have an array of plant medicine tinctures at Avatar Apothecary that actually treat
Anxiety and depression. Where's that coming from?
anxiety and depression comes from, in general, fear. And now this is a teaching as well from ayahuasca. And so much of that fear is stored in our subconscious. And when we don't know where those patterns or where that fear is coming from, and much of the time we don't even know it's actually fear, or maybe even willing to admit it. And so what the plant medicines offer is a way of supporting your whole being, your mental, your physical, and your emotional being, as well as your spiritual being, to allow yourself to look at what you are truly afraid of, where underneath in your subconscious is hiding aspects that you are afraid of or denying. And so when we can go to the root cause of what you're afraid of truly, then the perception that you have in your life around what you are truly afraid of changes. It no longer holds you to a space that you have reactions to certain triggers in your life from your subconscious programs.
Where does anxiety and depression come from?
Anxiety and depression have a root cause in fear. That's one part of it. And how ayahuasca helps you understand in greater depth the layers that are creating. I hear many people suffering from these ailments that they call anxiety and depression. And I say that in a way that we call that depression, we call it anxiety. But what are the emotions that people are actually experiencing every day? Are you experiencing fear? How does that live out in your life? What are the patterns underneath that in your programs in your subconscious? And how does that allow you to feel safe, secure, and feeling like open to life and what it has to give you every day? And so when we say anxiety, what are the energies present that is accumulating in your mind every day by your thoughts, the way you also see life, and how you feel that maybe your past has showed you that this is going to happen to you again and again? There are certain places and blockages that we get stuck. And so they create these stories. Our minds create stories. They're full of illusions. And so we repetitively feel that. And so anything experienced over and over again, we have a clinical term for it. So we'll call it, okay, this affects me and I get anxious. Another person can say, this makes me depressed, So this is also the end result of it. It's not the cause. And that's how we work with plant medicines and that's the way plant medicines actually work, is they address what you're actually going through. We don't put on certain terms on you. It's like an identity, like you're a depressed person or you're chronically fatigued. It's like you're feeling exhausted because of why? What is that underlying cause and that subconscious programming coming from? And so that's the way that these master plants like ayahuasca helps us, is that they address where those patterns and that original cause is coming from, how we're working, and whether it be in our ancestry, childhood, even in our past lives, where is that energy coming from that is showing you that this is the outcome that I have to go to, that the only result in my life is actually ending up in fear and anxiety, that there is no other pathway out. And so from that place, when you don't feel like there's a pathway out, what choices do you have? So of course depression is going to come.
When I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed, how can I use plant medicines to overcome my block?
So if you're feeling overwhelmed and a lot of stress in life and not knowing how to cope, to be able to take the steps that you need necessary, that are necessary for you to feel more joy, more love, more excitement, and new possibilities that you can become in your life, then plant medicines can create a space for you that is not in the same space that you would generally feel in your everyday life. It's a new setting. It's taking you out of the regular setting that creates, that has been, that you've put into in a container that perhaps you feel that isn't serving your highest good and the real way that you want to work. So what plant medicines do is they take you into a place where there's a timelessness, there's a sense of spaciousness that you experience so that you can go into deeper layers of yourself and allow that depth to continue so that you can find your true nature and your true joy that you are, and that true light, that brilliance that just allows yourself to feel like inspired to create again.
I'm feeling lonely and looking for love, but I don't feel deserving. What can I do?
So, if you're feeling lonely and disconnected from other people and not able to really attract a good relationship into your life that brings you more love and intimacy, then the first is to actually see that this is occurring in your life, that you are actually not receiving this. And so, this is the first step, is just acknowledging. Because if we don't see that, oh, it's me, it's not other people, that I am not able to attract this, then that's the first step in becoming aware of the healing and the openings that can occur. So after you acknowledge that I don't have close, intimate relationships with other people, and you want that. And so by allowing that, even to just consider that you want that into your life, then we can open up to where the hurt, where the disconnection originally occurred in your life. So many times you had probably been hurt in your life, and perhaps you brushed it off and you felt like, oh, that didn't bother me. I can get over that. And you kept going. However, there's these defenses that come up after some time. We are naturally programmed to protect ourselves. And that's a good thing. We have great defenses that are able to show us that we care about ourselves. So we're going to defend ourselves. And over time, what happens is that when those instances occur where you've been hurt, say it was a traumatic event, maybe you didn't even realize it was a traumatic event. You didn't even look at it like that. Maybe it was just something small, but you created a defense around it. And so over time, those defenses come up and they reject certain people. They stop. They say, no, this person, maybe it's not safe for me. I can't trust them. And it continues. But then you realize that, wait a minute, I don't have many friends anymore. And I don't have a relationship for a long time that I can really connect with. And this is not for me anymore. I don't want to stop. I don't want to prevent myself from these intimate connections with other people. And so this is where we start looking at the defenses, and how your defenses come up is primarily where your judgments are. And that will lead you to see how you perceive other people, but also deeper how you perceive yourself. And so by looking at some of your judgments can help you see where your defenses are strongest.
How does ayahuasca work?
So many people want to know, how does ayahuasca work? Now, these are some secrets that are passed down from the medicines over many, many years. This is not one answer how this works. Like a pill that we receive from pharmacy says, boom, 1, 2, 3, and it's very clinical, scientific. It works like that. Ayahuasca does not fit in that category, as she is a spirit. She is a very strong spirit. And so, in that consciousness of that great spirit that she embodies, she is able to work with us in such an intimate way where she gets to see who you are better than sometimes you know yourself. And so, where she can offer you certain teachings by guiding you into certain directions that perhaps you wouldn't have never looked before to see, perhaps the solution or to where there's a cause or a problem or a blockage. So she guides us in a way that is able to unlock certain pathways that perhaps our defense mechanisms were blocked before. So she's able to break down those defense mechanisms in such a way that brings you into a state of surrender so that you can actually go deeper to see, and most potently, who you really are. What are you really about? What are your real attributes? And so she can keep going in that journey to see show you certain patterns in your whole life. So it's kind of like a life review. She can show you different patterns from childhood. She can show you patterns from your ancestry. She can show you patterns that you've received and images from past lives, as well as other teachings far beyond this world. So if your relationships aren't going well and you have blockages in your relationships and becoming intimate, then the answer is to really finding out what your patterns and where these stem from. You have to look into it. And if you're having issues with money and how come money isn't coming and flowing freely in your life, then you have to look at those patterns and where is that coming from? Where's the underlying cause? And so it's the same thing with every aspect of your life. If you're not able to find that career that you really love, that you have that passion to create and it's fulfilling, then you have to look at the patterns in your life underlying why that is. So, this is also something that ayahuasca is a master of. She's able to help point out these patterns and allow you to see a deeper depth to yourself by taking you through memories and all those programs that we've been taught and that we're not aware of so that we can unlock our true power.
I feel like I have a lot of trauma in my life. Can ayahuasca help with trauma?
Ayahuasca can heal trauma, and it really takes a solid container for the person, a safe, protective space for someone to be able to surrender in that kind of environment for ayahuasca to really be able to do the work that it's needed. Ayahuasca is a medicine that can go into the deep layers of where the traumatic events had occurred and is able to reopen that space for somebody so that they can see it in a different perspective and be able to release and surrender the emotions, the perceptions, how they saw it. She's able to show you in a different light how that has actually changed or shifted your life and a much bigger picture of how that shaped your existence, this a certain event. So she's able to go in all time and space. She's able to bring you to that space. And I want to add here that with the other master plants that we work with in the Amazon, when we invite them into the space, they have a function because as ayahuasca also works with many Amazonian plant medicines. She's a doorway. She opens up the space to also allow all of her, you could say her children, all of these other spirits in. And they're also creating a protective space for all of the participants for you to be able to surrender into a feeling of safety. Because when we need to heal our trauma, there's deep wounds that we create a defense mechanism around them to protect ourselves. And naturally, we want to protect ourselves. And so to be able to go back into that space where there's perhaps a wound that hasn't healed. So when you have a wound that hasn't healed over many, many could be lifetimes, but it could be just this life. And you created a protective barrier around it so that it would just feel like it wasn't being touched, so we could feel, oh, don't go there. That's going to hurt. So then, and that's also part of the way we also don't go to certain places in our life. Sometimes it'd be a relationship. We can't go into that relationship because that's going to hurt because we have a wound there that hasn't been healed. So we just put a protection barrier around it. And so what ayahuasca can do with other plant medicines in a ceremonial space is that she creates a container and that it feels so safe that you're just being held, that okay, I can let go of these protective barriers around me because there's someone else, there's another force, there's another spirit that's holding that space. And even better than I think that most of us can hold for our spaces because they're designed to do that for us. And so when that space is held in such a protective, held, safe space, we can address our wound. That's what we need. We need someone to hold our space so that, and then also working with ayahuasca is that she can clear anything that is there that needs to be let go of. And as that medicine works, just like medicine works, is it's just clearing the space. So she's helping and assisting you in your own healing journey.
Are ayahuasca retreats safe?
So many people have asked me, are ayahuasca retreats safe? And I have to say, honestly, yes and no. Some of them are completely held in a very beautiful, intimate space and setting, and others have been commercialized. And what I mean by commercialized is that the way the container that it's put in is not held with actual people, with, well, the actual people, but people who haven't been trained. I get asked a lot whether ayahuasca retreats are truly safe. And my response is it depends on who you're with and the training involved. So the training involved with ayahuasca in terms of being able to serve medicine takes many years. Takes many years of developing a relationship with this plant and the spirit of this plant. It also takes years of working with other Amazonian plant medicines, as ayahuasca is a she's a portal. She opens doorways. Now, everyone loves to open a doorway. And so many of these plant medicine centers, after doing a certain amount of ceremonies, they just, are enamored with this amazing plant and they can open up doorways. And so many people come to them and they open doorways. But what is coming through those doorways? Who's protecting the doorway? And so this is where the training comes in to work with other Amazonian plant medicine. And through that process, the awareness of the curandero, which is the healer, grows and is able to see what is needed to bring into the ceremonial space, as well as the commercialization of the medicine has created larger and larger ceremonial containers where there's so many people. Where traditionally there was very few people sitting in a ceremony. The amount of people, it just correlates to less attention. One isn't able to give as much attention to any one person if there are so many people. And if there is a lack of trained facilitators, they don't understand how to help, very much at all. And most of the time, the methods to calming someone down is very much treated on the physical level and not the spiritual level. And the spiritual level is where ayahuasca is working with. And so to understand what plant medicine songs you have to sing, what the container needs to be set for other people, it can actually cause more, I don't want to say damage, but it does create damage to the reputation of these plant medicines because they're not held in the way that they need to be able to do their best work. And so this is why I'm also talking about this right now is that the reputation of ayahuasca, the reputation of all these amazing Amazonian plant medicines are so effective at supporting and clearing and really getting to these root causes of why we suffer so greatly in our culture. And by understanding the training that needs to be done and to be really followed, to be able to hold a ceremony in such a high light where these plant medicines can really truly do their best is why I talk about it with you today.
How do I know who to trust? If you've been thinking about doing an ayahuasca ceremony, you might be wondering, who should you sit with? Where should you go?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
What are the three things they need to know about a person? What three questions can they ask a person who's offering ayahuasca?
So if you've been considering going to an ayahuasca ceremony and you don't know who to trust, I will give you three suggestions for looking into their backgrounds a little deeper. So the first thing is look at their training. Where have they been spending their time working with the medicine? Did they go to the plant's specific place of origin? Did they learn from other native indigenous groups that have this wisdom of how to work with the plants? How long have they been working with it? Is there been a minimum of 5 years that they've spent really going deeper into the plant? Another aspect of it is looking into also their background. Check out their own relationships. These days you can see, do they have a wife? Do they have Do they have children? Are they living in a place that you feel like, wow, this person looks like they're doing really well in their life. They look like they're a happy, really, successful in all the ways that you feel that would create a really positive atmosphere. So another aspect I would ask you to look into is it intimate. Now, the most intimate ceremonies with a minimum, I'd say about 8 to 10 people per ceremony, is where you're going to get a lot more interaction with the person, the facilitator holding the ceremony. And so just looking at your environment, are you in nature? That's where the plant do the best work, is in a space and an environment where they feel that you can connect to all of the environment around you, not just the place that you're sitting in. As well as this indicates the training involved with the person of where they choose to offer the medicine.
How do I know who to trust?
How do you know who to trust when attending an ayahuasca ceremony? Now, this is a matter of doing a little bit of research. It's also looking into referrals, because when you see who the past clients have been and also the amount of times that they work with the client. So if sometimes people have these testimonials and they say, "Oh, it was a great time and this happened and so on," and how long have they been working with the facilitators or this group of people? So return customers, like return participants, are the best referrals. Somebody who's been working with that team or that healer for many years, say a minimum of 5 years. So look for those kind of references. Another aspect I would ask you to look into to know if you can trust is the training involved with these curanderos. So another point I'd ask you to look into is the training that the facilitators have gone through to be able to offer the medicine. Have they worked with the medicine in its place of origin? And for how long and how many years? Have they done any plant dietas? This is something I can talk to you about later, but this is also part of the training to be able to serve ayahuasca. Have they gone through an initiation, a coronation ceremony to be able to offer this plant medicine? This takes many years, and it usually, most 99% of the time, this is only done in the place of origin of the plant, which is Peru, Colombia, Brazil. Another point to look into to see if you can trust the space that you'll be going to, the environment. So this is very important. Being in nature and being around people who are trained in working with the plants, but also the amount of people that are being brought into the group. So if you have a huge group, then there isn't going to be a lot of feedback and connection and intimate time that you can be offered by the facilitators because of the amount, just the sheer amount of people there are. Traditionally, there were smaller groups, more intimate, where ongoing the facilitators can understand what you're really going through. So they know how to care for you in a very deep way within the ceremony.
I've been considering going to an ayahuasca ceremony. What should I expect? How can I best be prepared?
How to prepare best for an ayahuasca ceremony would also include just creating more space for yourself to feel what you're feeling. Because ayahuasca, she's a spirit, she's a master spirit. She actually starts to work with you before you even get to the ceremony. And so it comes in forms where perhaps the week before you might be feeling your emotions or certain things in your life are really being highlighted to that you feel aren't going well or that you need to work on. And this is also the medicine of ayahuasca starting to work with you before you even get to the ceremony. So taking some space for yourself is really critical throughout the week before. So if you're coming to an ayahuasca ceremony, I would like to offer you 3 things of how to prepare yourself before you get there. So the first thing is really to have some time with yourself just to see what is your intention. So that's very important, is that why are you going? Because this is also going to hold you when you're in that ceremony. You can come back to that. This is why I'm here. And so really allowing yourself to go into that space in yourself and understand, okay, this is why I'm coming. That's the first. And you don't need to have a fancy intention. You just have to know and feel yourself of what's motivating you to go. So the second point is that you need to prepare your body. Your body needs to be as clean as possible. So it's eliminating all your processed foods that you normally eat days before, allowing yourself to just let go of certain things that really don't actually even make you feel very good. So cleaning out your diet, taking away any things that, don't, connecting or perhaps not connecting with people or social media for a little while that actually just make you feel a little bit down and a little bit, news turn it off for a while, before the ceremony, because that can really clear out your mind and coming into that place of just feeling restful. So this is also another way of preparing your body, allowing yourself more space to rest, and also giving yourself some space to meditate. If that's in your practice, just feeling that sense of clarity, before you get there. So the third point that I'd like to offer is to arrive on time, putting yourself in a place, a new space, especially if you're going to be setting up for an ayahuasca ceremony that first night, you're going to want to just have some time just to be for the ceremony, get to know your environment, connect with the other people in the space, connect with your facilitator, allow yourself to have a chat just to feel comfortable and allowing yourself to have more trust in that relationship. So that's important. So you want to feel a sense of safety in that environment. That takes yourself being in that environment for a little while before the ceremonies begins. And also, what I like to add is drinking plenty of water. So that's also keeping hydrated throughout that day. You're going to want to go into that ceremony feeling hydrated.